more high quality content available
in the
than ever
community. Yeah,
before, and yet
there's
most people feel like there is
content,
something missing. There was
DJing,
once a time where it felt like we
streaming
were all on the
community.
same wavelength when it came to entertainment and pop culture.
Are you
Everything
dead
felt
make me
more
sweat?
impactful. Movies were bigger.
They
Music
really
spread
did.
further. Famous people were actually famous. Awards meant something. And if there was a shocking story in the news, it was impossible to miss. It was much easier to have your finger on the pulse of pop culture, and it created this bond that we had together as strangers. And we took it for granted, because now that that bond is gone, the world of entertainment, music, movies, shows, social media feels oversaturated, confusing, and dull. I bet most of you can relate to this. How many times these days does someone say to you, "Hey, did you hear about," or "Hey, did you see?" And not only is your answer no, but you literally have no idea what they are talking about. Life wasn't always like that. What we are missing today and for the past few years is a monoculture, which is essentially one culture that all Americans are connected to. Sometimes I even call it the death of mainstream, because nothing really feels mainstream anymore. Every decade had their own version of monoculture that was seemingly easily defined.
So saturated, yeah, it's so scattered. I'm back. This is really interesting, actually.
But what will define the 2020s? Monoculture is dead.
What will be the 2020s? In the 2030s and 40s when we're old and people are bringing back styles from the 2020s, what's it gonna be? Like, what the fuck is this? I felt like the 2020s all been about like replicating past styles, like culture vulturing shit. I don't know.
Dead. And for anyone watching this that's like a teenager or younger, it means nothing because they can't relate to that experience. But literally anyone older than that remembers their version of monoculture and probably misses it because it represents a much more simple.
Dude, bell bottoms and platforms are not from the 20s. Crocs, slides, and Gucci Daddy shorts. My Name Collective tracksuits will live on. Bro, I love Name Collective. I want some of their shit so bad. But, dude, I can't believe you paid those outrageous prices.
Every generation before Gen Alpha had limited options for entertainment, and they thought it was a burden, flipping through TV channels saying, "Oh, there's nothing to watch." But now, our options are infinite. 3.7 million YouTube videos uploaded every day. One streaming service with every song ever made, and 100,000 new songs being uploaded every day. Dozens of subscription services with thousands of movies and TV shows, a literal endless singular feed of short-form videos that one can spend hours without realizing the time has passed. And despite having access to all of this content,
I feel like thrifting was popular in the 2010s too, though. Like all the way to 2019, I remember people thrifting.
Feel bored and disconnected from each other. Well, today I want to talk about that feeling. That feeling like something is missing. I believe it is tied to the death of monoculture. So let's dive into how we got here, where it went wrong, and actually why some of you might consider it to be a good thing. Entertainment has always evolved based on the available technology. The easier it is to consume, the less impactful it is. Movie theater ticket sales had their all-time peak in the US in 1946. Over 90 million weekly admissions were recorded, which means that about 60% of the US population went to go see a movie that year. Now, were movies objectively better in 1946? Absolutely not. There were just less of them, and less entertainment overall. The introduction of the television likely slowed down movie ticket sales.
Once I saw those prices, I like unfollowed them on Instagram. I was like, I'm never gonna have this, so there's no point. But I like their style. My clothing brand that I want to make is actually was in a lot of ways, like I like the same style. Like, but fucking affordable.
But opened up a whole new opportunity for entertainment, cartoons, sitcoms, and of course, ads. You've probably never heard of Spokio, Truthfinder, or Been Verified, but they've definitely heard of you. These are data brokering to access or laugh. That's why info forms use up in space or sketchy time it aired. But even television has its limitations. You had to watch the show at the exact time it aired, or you missed it and had to wait for someone to tell you what happened.
Isn't that crazy? Some of us growing up, we'd have to fucking run in there and be like, damn it, it's almost 7 p.m. My show's about to come on. Damn, this show comes on at 9. I gotta work in the morning. That sucks. This show comes on at 10. Like, damn, I gotta work in the morning. This ain't that bad in the UK, so let me know. Wait, they're different prices? TV DVR is revolutionary, real.
happen the next day.
TiVo.
Or
I never
even
had
worse,
any of
you had to
them.
read this book called the TV Guide to figure out when they were going to air
No, I didn't read a book. You could check
a
online.
rerun.
Like on
Plus,
your
there were only a
computer.
few channels, so competition for attention was fierce. But that also meant that millions of people were watching the same thing at the
Streetlights
same
came
time.
on.
With most households operating on
Playing
9 to
out in the
5 work
neighborhood.
schedules, the only time carved out to entertain yourself was
Neighborhood.
between 7 and 10. This was known as prime time, and that's when the few good shows were on.
States.
Families watched
Yeah,
the
they're like
same things
$120
together, and a
for
new
the
episode
pants,
airing at 8 p.m. on a weeknight
$140
could
for this
dominate school
shirt.
hallways and office break rooms the next day. Worst case scenario, you could stay up for late night television where Letterman would catch you up
60s
on
and
all your
70s
pop
and the
culture
90s.
news.
Greetings, what up, Drake?
We were connected as humans, kind of operating on the
I
same
don't remember
wavelength,
that
and the
part.
entertainment added to our humanity. That is, unless you were entirely disinterested from the few available shows and movies, then you had no other options, your life
Drake,
sucked.
a sport influencer on YouTube, and he never came out with the new shit just because he was getting popular. Yeah, I think clothes and just everything is an all-time way too expensive. Like shit is just too expensive. In a rough day, what's wrong?
And you were looking for other forms of entertainment like heroin, but at least back then, it didn't have fentanyl in it.
Heroin?
But the way people consumed movies and television stayed
fuck?
relatively the same for decades. By the 1970s, 95%
Seemed
of
a little
households had a
random.
TV in it. And then in the 80s and 90s, there was a massive uptick in available entertainment, like an entire TV channel dedicated to showing music
Yo,
videos,
I love
or an entire
MTV.
channel dedicated to showing cartoons. But even with more
MTV my
niche
shit.
options, primetime shows still dominated pop culture, and
Damn,
Americans
now that
still
I think about it, MTV has had a lot of effect on my life. Like the shows I watched growing up, all that, Jersey Shore, so Cartoon Network too, Adventure Time, regular show. Like that's like 90% of my humor.
felt a sense of togetherness through a somewhat limited availability. Is music not hitting the same anymore? Doesn't it feel like you used to have a connection with others based on a shared love for the same music? Well, music
Real.
had a similar permeating connection to monoculture with a few key differences. For most of the 20th century, music was somewhat of a luxury. Today, for $15 a month, you can get access to every song ever made and 100,000 new ones uploaded daily. 15 bucks
share
used to
music,
get you
so
one
built
album,
me.
and you had to take your happy ass
But
to a
you're built
record
like
store
Rick
and
Deep.
physically buy it. And if the album was in high enough demand, they might not actually have it. And that seems like a dumb thing to say, but in our modern culture, entertainment is never not available to you. These stores often had a strong sense of community and served as a gathering place for music fans. It wasn't unusual for artists to stop in and play mini concerts or sign albums before an appearance in a
That's
particular
dope.
city. When people bought an album, they were now
I should do
invested.
that.
They worked hard for that money. So to get the value back, they
My local
actually
record
listened to the
store.
whole thing. They even tried to like the songs that they didn't initially like because they paid for it, which ultimately made them appreciate the
record
artistry on a
player.
different depth. This uninterrupted focus on the
New
music
records.
built a deeper connection from the fans
That's
to the
crazy,
artist. Fans had
honestly.
to imagine what their favorite musicians were like based on lyrics, a few interviews, and carefully
David Bowie
staged
kinda
photographs in
creepy.
magazines or posters on their wall. There was a mystique.
All her
Pop
old
stars felt
CDs.
larger than life, almost like fictional characters, which is why people would pass out at the mere sight of
You would
Michael
buy the
Jackson.
soundtrack
Today we have
before the
countless
movie. That's so
interviews and
funny.
endless
That's
access
dope.
to all of their thoughts and opinions on social media. That mystery is
Surprised
gone.
about that.
Artists are
I got
more
my dad
accessible
for
than
record
ever,
player.
and because
Why
of
do you use this picture of Drake? Come on, bro. It's literally a screenshot. It's not even a good picture.
that, they feel less special. And since music was basically a luxury, most people
Vinyl.
didn't have tons of disposable
I used to
income
have a
to
Linkin
buy every
Park
release they
Hybrid
wanted to
Theory
listen to.
vinyl.
So they typically resorted to listening to the radio
Give me
or
a
watching
hug.
MTV. You couldn't just
I can
search
use
your
that
favorite
hug.
Guns N' Roses song and get that instant gratification. You had to turn on MTV and just wait for it to come on, but in the meantime, you were consuming tons of other good songs that made you a more well-rounded music listener. And that was the
Real.
same predicament for everyone. So
I
at
do
school
agree with
dances,
that.
parties, or
My hug, yeah,
clubs,
come here.
everyone felt connected because the songs that
Put
were
them
being
blobs in my
played were
face.
the ones that everyone had the
Do you
same
think
access
best
to.
album-
A lot of club
Wait, what are you talking
DJs
about?
today still mostly play music from the 2010s.
Real. That's so real. Like, dude, I noticed that. Like, when I make my sets, like, I try to incorporate new music, and then I'm like listening. I'm thinking about being at the club, and like, it never does. Oh, Hybrid Theory, yeah. It never does well. Like, anytime I play anything from late 90s, 2000s, 2010s, everyone turns up way more. They enjoy it way more. Like, there's just not bangers, there's not bops like that anymore made in the 2020s. Were my favorites. old school on top. Like it's not even old school yet technically, but yeah, it's like crazy, honestly. You know, you're calling me old school? I was born in the 90s, chill, the late 90s. Born 98. With Nokia. I mean, no, that's a good song, and there are a lot of great songs that came out, don't get me wrong. That but like what he's saying in this video, no like culturally changing songs. Like, bro, Katy Perry dropped some songs that had girls changing their whole identity, their whole outfit, their whole wardrobe. Justin Bieber was making dudes like change their whole people would literally switch up their entire being for a song back in the day. You know what I mean? Like you guys remember that shit? The emo set coming out. I mean, the emo set's ready. I mean, ready whenever. Was so life changing. Damn, not you. Yes, like everybody was. Music was just what up, Mac? Like Lil Wayne fans. Lil Wayne had motherfuckers out here from fucking the suburbs sipping lean. I had the JB, bro. I had the JB hair. It was perfect too.
And a lot of people wonder why they aren't playing more modern music. Like, are
What up,
we all
Mac?
crippled by nostalgia? Well, not necessarily, but
Bro, fucking girls were passing out and falling over at One Direction. Like, you see that some with BTS now, but you know what I mean?
when you play music from the 2010s, you can kind of
There's
guarantee
hairspray in
that
it
everyone
now.
in
I
the
can't
club
really
is
do
going to know
hair
those songs.
flips.
Whereas today, everyone just listens to
Nothing really
vastly
happens.
different music. What's considered extremely popular and mainstream to you might literally
Seventh
not be
grade.
considered extremely popular and mainstream to the person next to you. Today, we have unlimited access to every song ever made. When a new song or album drops, it is
life.
just right there in your phone. You don't have to talk to anyone, don't have to buy it, don't have to wait.
my
Most of the
teens, we
time,
were
the artist
twins.
is actually begging you to listen to it, or you accidentally found out about it. You didn't even want to discover it. Most people have resorted to just letting the algorithm decide what music to recommend to them because
Oh,
it's easier
hell
than
no.
doing all of the effort I just talked about before. Combine this lack of mono connectivity through music, requiring absolutely no effort to get access to the music, as well as artists not having the star power due to overexposure, and surprise, surprise, music holds absolutely no value to the average casual listener. Once
It
we
really
entered the
doesn't.
2000s, the rapid advancement of available technology caused a dominant monoculture to become more
always
fragmented.
the
TVs were becoming cheaper, bigger, and higher quality. The internet was getting faster, becoming easier to access and navigate. Cell phones were in everyone's pocket. We were becoming more connected than ever, but we didn't realize it was actually going to drive us further apart. In my opinion,
Damn.
2000 to
This is
2010
deep.
was a great sweet spot for pop culture. I would describe today's culture
Okay,
as
JB, my
everything all at
room, just
once,
hated the
and the early
posters.
2000s was
When
the
that
same,
was
but
a
it
real
was slightly
phone, the
more
Sidekick.
manageable. Let's start simple. Movies. Here's a graph of every movie released per year around the world. You can see the quantity of movies released remained relatively the same from the early 1970s to the late 1990s, and it just started slowly ramping up in the 2000s before it exponentially exploded. Back then, there was a
God
rhythm to it
damn.
all. You'd get 2 or 3 massive blockbusters every summer, movies like
Really?
Spider-Man, Pirates
That's
of the
really
Caribbean.
how it was. We knew we got 3 big movies each year, and then a couple other two or three small good ones that weren't as big. And then you would have like 2 good shows come out each year, and like 3 big video games, and then like 2 big book releases. Now it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like at all times.
Caribbean, or The Dark Knight, which dominated culture for weeks. As fall and winter rolled in, you'd see smaller budget,
Never have
more
it.
experimental, or just simple films rise to the surface. Movies like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Little Miss Sunshine, Juno, and Requiem for a Dream. Everyone kind of knew what was coming and when it was coming, and that predictability
Well, I was
created a
jealous.
shared sense of anticipation. Even smaller budget
Big
films
tons of
had a
movies
shot
that
at
suck,
becoming
no, for
massive,
real.
and the reason they had a shot was because people actually went to the theaters. Our last peak in movie theater ticket sales was in 2002 when 1.5 billion tickets
2020,
were
god
sold. But even if
damn.
you didn't go to the theater, we had these really cool
Bro,
things.
COVID really fucking ruined us, and not even financially, not even health wise, just as a society, bro. Like, I feel like it really did like make people so fucking like separated and like divided, and like just we don't interact the same. There's not the same amount of events and meetups. There's not like parades, bro. There used to be like parades, and then there was this going on in town. You could drive through your downtown, and then there was like, oh, this event's going on, and there's like a little like festival over here, and this event. So it's back. Like now, I feel like no one fucks with each other. Like they don't like you just make like your tight knit friend group, and you guys just go do stuff together. There's no like I haven't I've seen a couple examples in a couple different areas in the United States, but like I don't feel community, like a sense of people knowing each other in the community either. Like I remember growing up and like before COVID, like you'd see people like at the store, oh my God, there you are, so and so, blah blah, what you doing? Like you don't even see that much as anymore. Social skills immensely for a long time. Speller and COVID hardcore. What up, Tatiana? Was like more than my friends in real life.
Called
Bro, if you come
DVDs,
meet
where
up
you
with us,
could
then we
buy
are
the
your real
movie
life
that you
friends.
missed and watch it at home. And if you didn't want to commit to buying it, no worries. You could rent the film for a few bucks by going to
Literally,
this
Alan,
magical
there are
place
people who missed their whole senior year of high school.
called Blockbuster. This is a store where you could essentially browse all of the
Yes,
movies that you
definitely.
didn't get the chance
What's
to
up,
see.
Alina?
You would actually talk to the employee who worked there, and they would give you a recommendation or tell you what everyone else is renting. Sometimes a movie was in such high demand that all of their copies would be rented, and you couldn't get it. Imagine
I
that.
remember that.
Imagine any form of entertainment being unavailable for you today.
This new game came out called Neverwinter Nights, and I wanted to play it so bad. I remember I went to the store at GameStop and tried to buy it the day of, and like it was probably like 2 p.m. So most of the day had, gone by. Sold out the two GameStops near me. And my dad was like, dude, I want to play this game so bad, I want to play. He was like, all right, let's go to Flick Video, which is like basically Blockbuster. It's just like a smaller version of it. We had one by our house. I went there, I grabbed the cover, I took it up there, and then like all rented out. I was like, no way. The late fees after the lockdowns.
Scarcity
Right.
created demand, and it made the film more exciting. It made you
Couldn't go back
want
to
to
the
watch it
cinema.
more. Most of those crappy
shut
yet special
down, I
early
know.
2000s comedies were the perfect films to pick up at a Blockbuster, and people loved that place. The company earned $5 billion in revenue in 2004. The
It's
point is
just
that you
transparency.
and
Basically
everyone
didn't
around
happen.
you had
Yeah.
this
It's honestly crazy. The like now that it's been enough time has gone by, it's like the what up, Dylan? The like effects culturally and societally of like the pandemic.
physical connection with the entertainment and was actively using their brain to choose what they wanted to consume.
I was
TV
close with
still
my
had
family
a
during
somewhat
the
similar
pandemic,
rhythm in the 2000s.
nice.
Primetime was still valuable airtime. MTV was in its best
Blockbuster.
era, in my opinion, having a plethora of terrible yet
Let's
oddly
go!
captivating reality TV shows and experimental series, while still having their sister network,
Jersey.
MTV2, play music videos 24/7. It was one of the most versatile eras for mainstream music, with lyrical rap, crunk rap, rock, emo
Did
rock,
Seaside
country,
Heights
pop,
approve
EDM,
my
R&B, and countless
Seaside
other
beach
genres in a
concert?
healthy rotation on MTV and the radio. It was just on the cusp of being overwhelming, but having it all contained on MTV and VH1 made it still manageable to keep up with. Kids were absolutely consumed by Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, and Cartoon Network, which were three separate
Sure.
networks
Doing
that
good. How are
each
you,
had
Barbara?
2 to 3 shows worth paying attention to in their respective eras. We still had a healthy separation between our personal
need it
lives and
now.
our school and work life from 9 to 5, only entertaining ourselves lightly in the morning and in the evenings. We didn't have a phone to
Avoid
distract
the
us from
heat.
literally every millisecond of boredom. The entertainment options still felt limited enough that you could feel like everyone around you was on the same wavelength. Plus, we were still at the mercy of knowing the schedule of when
Cat
new
Dog,
shows were going to
Rugrats,
air. But that
SpongeBob,
started to
wow.
die when cable companies provided DVR capabilities. You could now record your favorite shows and movies and watch them
Where you going,
later
Dylan?
whenever you
Oh,
wanted.
you're going to
this
Jersey,
was the
aren't you?
beginning of the streaming service
Cat
era
Dog was
takeover
lit. I
that
used to
so
love
many
those
people
cartoons
today
like that.
loathe. Today, you may feel like you are not as
Cat
connected
Dog,
to the culture
Cat
because
Dog.
1, less people are going to the theaters, and 2, the DVD and
Then New
TV
York.
business
Turn
has
up,
been
bro, for us, have
demolished by
fun.
streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, etc. Being
Regrets
able
was
to
lit.
stream anything, anywhere, anytime, all while being alone in your room means there's no
They're
anticipation,
on the TikTok
no
all the time.
excitement.
Bro, that's what I love about the meetups is when we're hanging out, bro, no one's on their phone, we're doing stuff, we're hanging out, we're laughing, we're looking at each other, and it's like phones disappear. It's so nice, which is like that's what happened on a couple of the meetups. Like why one video in Nashville is long because the whole time I was very present minded. Like we got our phones up, we gotta be recording, getting content. That video was 20 minutes. Same thing with Pittsburgh, and then Salt Lake, and then another one was super short, and it's just because like we all just got caught up in the moment, enjoying it, didn't record. Y'all right there, exactly. Bittersweet, but it's nice to be. No, it is. On my way. I love you, Dulu. That's awesome. But we're gonna have to get good footage in Jersey. We gotta bring back the legacy. The Jersey Shore YouTube video will be the cult legacy video.
Nobody to share the experience with, and
It
therefore
was amazing.
no real reason to watch.
Tables.
Which is why you
We've got
simply
multiple
scroll
tables
and
as a big
scroll through
family.
endless choices, waiting for something to magically grab your attention, waiting for something to give you a reason to watch, but it just never happened.
Still looking at that one picture, not far from North Carolina, and it was the next day after the show, and even just at the show, just the amount of people, but the next day, it was all cult members. There was like probably like 30 plus of you guys all just sitting together in a restaurant. It's just like, holy shit. Holy shit, it was awesome. At the burrito place. Should I fake drama for Jersey? We don't have to fake it. I'll make some real drama. I mean, nah, there's gonna be no drama. Concerts too, talk to each other, just on our phones.
On a
That
lighter
was so
note,
crazy.
every now and
Mountain
again,
Burrito,
we
yeah.
do have a monoculture moment. I think back to the Barbie movie where
And
girls
everyone
were excited
together.
to dress in all pink and drag their boyfriends to the theaters, only for the guys to immediately after drag their girls to see Oppenheimer, where I'm assuming many of them fell asleep. I think back to Squid
That's just
Games,
like being
where
a
it felt
moment.
like everyone and their mother
Yeah,
was
Squid
blindsided
Games
by this
was lit.
dystopian critique of capitalism disguised as a up game show. As far as films go, it feels like it's only every couple of years where there is a
Squid
moment that
Games
we
definitely brought everyone together with something to talk about, something to do.
are all in sync, when it used to be literally all year, every year. I can't even remember the last time music had a monoculture moment. I mean, sure, radio is still kind of relevant. TikTok made
Yeah.
popular songs
I haven't seen
more
pop
popular,
culture
but
moments
there's
in
so
a
much
while.
music all over the place all the time that I don't even know what anybody's listening to anymore. For TV, Yellowstone, Severance, White Lotus, Love Island, I mean, they are extremely popular, but can we say everyone is watching those shows? Will those
No.
shows
I haven't seen a single second of Love Island.
define this era?
Pork and
I bet
Law-
there are a ton of you
Yeah,
watching that are
no,
like,
you're fine.
I didn't watch a single one of those shows.
Neither-
The
I
irony
didn't
of
watch
it
a
all
single
is
one.
that
Severance
the
is
death of a
amazing.
unified
Haven't
culture
seen any
everyone
of
seems
those.
to be feeling came with our pursuit to be more connected than ever before. Because
Yeah, I
the
watch a lot of
adaptation
anime,
of the
too.
internet and social media into our everyday lives was the nail in the coffin for monoculture. By the turn of the
See, I'm
century,
saving
everyone with extra
people's
cash had a
brains. I'm saving society by getting people off TikTok and creating community events, hanging out, real life shit.
computer somewhere in the house. Our parents were using them to basically
It's the
replace what the
show.
newspaper did for
I'd have to
decades,
check it out.
as the desktops
I'm just always so busy, and then like at night when I watch a show, I usually watch a comfort show I've seen a million times because lay in bed, 30 minutes later, I'm asleep.
internet
And then
connection
if I try
got
to watch a new
faster,
show,
we
it
looked
gets
at
frustrating,
forums,
so I'm always
chatted through
rewinding,
AOL Instant
trying to figure out
Messenger,
where I
played simple
was.
flash games on Newgrounds, and even bid on random antiques from eBay. Being connected
Oh,
to
I miss
random
my
people
eBay
all over the
days.
world was beautiful. You were
Apple
no longer
Plus, the
limited to
fuck?
the thoughts, beliefs, and interests
Same.
of those in your geographical location.
Rest of
The
your
internet was
show.
still somewhat
I
difficult to
still fall asleep.
navigate. You know, there was a time
will
when
be the
Google didn't have all
Hokage.
the answers. You had to check other search
Naruto.
engines like Yahoo
I
and
like
my
Naruto,
favorite,
but
Ask
it's not one of
Jeeves,
my
to find what
favorites.
you were looking for.
Ask
Videos would
Jeeves.
take forever to load. The quality was often
Isn't
terrible.
that crazy? We used to sit there for a video and wait for like 5 or 10 minutes for it to load and just be like, just spinning in our chair, just twiddling our thumbs, flipping up on our phone, checking a couple texts, flipping it back closed, sitting there. It's just like, oh, the video time, let's go.
And sometimes just straight up didn't
real.
work. Using the internet kind of felt like exploring uncharted land. That friction, scarcity, and lack of instant gratification was
Now,
what
like,
made
if a video takes 30 seconds to load, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
it special. It was worth
Why is
working
my
for.
Wi-Fi
Today
slow? I
we
need
just
connected to
expect
blah, blah,
things to
blah.
work. We demand convenience, and we are willing to
Ready to
give
throw
up our
hands,
human
lol.
autonomy for it. Initially, the entertainment industry as a whole saw the internet as a threat because of piracy. Suddenly, millions of people could download movies, music, and TV shows for free through networks like Napster, LimeWire, and torrent sites, completely bypassing traditional revenue models. Studios, labels, and networks feared the collapse of their business structures, as physical sales and TV deals were at the risk of being replaced. The internet stripped them of control, and for the first time, the consumer had the power to access content without paying a cent. From the consumer's perspective, the logic was simple. Why pay for something when you can get it for free instantly? Piracy wasn't just about being cheap, it was about convenience. Buying a CD or DVD meant going to a store, spending 10 to 20 bucks, and hoping you'd like the full album or movie. Then again, people didn't realize
Bro, Caitlin, oh my god. I used to go on YouTube when a song would drop, and I'd make sure no one was home, and I'd shut the door and sit in my room, and I'd set my phone right next to the speaker, and I'd press play on both, and I would record a song onto my phone, and I recorded like probably 20 or 30 songs, and I would listen to them on one of my phones and use them as like ringtones and stuff.
Nuanced value of the additional human experiences they got.
And I remember I had this one song, it was a Chris Brown song, and I remember at one point like something happened, and it was like there's like a bump, like I hit the laptop or the phone like moved or something, and it was always there, but I still listened to that song all the time on there, and I'd always remember the come on, I'd be like, yeah. Wait, no one was loud. I remember burning CDs. Burning CDs is crazy. Yeah.
While consuming entertainment, all that CD. Driving to the store, talking to people, limited inventory, sitting on a sticky theater seat, that was all just considered to be an inconvenient cost to getting what you wanted. But you couldn't argue against the value that the internet brought to individuals. It gave everyone a voice, a platform, and endless options tailored exactly to their preferences. And that ramped up significantly in 2003 when MySpace became the first widely accepted platform for social media. By 2005, the platform had around 300 million users.
Chat, I'm gonna link my playlist into chat. Let me know if you can see it. Says no. I wonder why. That's unavailable. I don't know why. It's not private. I'm only looking at it. It says like to make private. Here, let me just link it this way and see if you guys can see. I wonder if it's because of the title of my playlist. With that link. The shorter one. Nope. That's so crazy. Like here it is. I don't understand. It says public playlist. I wonder why.
Users and had an estimated valuation of over $10 billion. The platform allowed people to share their personal passions and stories as individuals. If nobody in your real life aligned with your interests, you would be able to find a community of like-minded people online.
What's your Spotify name? All caps DJ space capital C_YN.
Started calling random strangers on the internet their friends. They became invested in their lives, wanting to know what they were doing in their geographical location. Your connection to random people around the world started to make you disconnected from those physically around you. Slowly, the digital world began to feel more important than the physical one. As platforms evolved, first with Facebook, then Instagram, and eventually TikTok, the focus shifted even further away from a shared experience and towards personal branding. Algorithms were designed not to connect people as a whole, but to keep you personally engaged, feeding you content you already agreed with or found entertaining. The internet became less of a town square and more of an echo chamber, reflecting only your own tastes, beliefs, and biases back at you, just so you wouldn't click off the app. Social media stopped being about community and became a stage where everyone was the main character of their own story. It made individuals feel feel more powerful than ever, which could be considered a good thing, but it also created a cultural landscape more narcissistic, divisive, and isolated than any era in history. So the reason why movies, TV, YouTube, social media, and literally all other forms of entertainment don't feel the same is a combination of really complicated nuances. However, with a shift in mentality, you could look at all of this as a good thing. If you are a strong-minded individual, introverted, or just someone who doesn't really care about a sense of community and those around you, you are in the golden ages. For decades, if you didn't fit into the narrow lens of what the mainstream deemed valuable, if you didn't like the biggest pop star, or wear the right clothes, or relate to the 5 TV shows everyone else watched, you were invisible. You had nowhere to go. You were the weird kid, the quiet one, the one who didn't belong. But now, the internet gives you infinite options to find belonging, and literally any interest you may have, no matter how unique it is, chances are there is a niche community where someone like you isn't just accepted, you are celebrated. Do you like wolves eating watermelons? So do 61,000 other people. Do you like stapling bread to trees? So do 335,000 other people. Today, a girl who was once mocked in school for drawing anime characters in her notebook can become a full-time artist with a fan base of thousands or millions. A kid who was laughed at for making weird songs on his cracked BandLab app can go viral on TikTok and then chart on the Spotify Viral 50. A filmmaker with no connections and no budget can put their short film on YouTube and have it resonate with millions of people around the world. These stories were impossible in the monoculture era because the gatekeepers decided what was and what wasn't. Before the internet, independence was next to impossible, and today the gatekeepers have less power than ever. So maybe entertainment feels more chaotic, more overwhelming, and less special. Maybe we are no longer all connected under a simple, easy to navigate monoculture, but there is more opportunity than ever for a small independent creator to get a taste of that success. And for consumers, if you know what your interests are and do not let algorithms decide what you want to watch and are willing to do the tedious task to actively get out.
If you could grow up in another era of time, what would it be?
Side of the echo chamber that these algorithms are trying to hold you in, and find that one quality YouTuber or that one underrated Hulu series, then you are probably completely fine with today's entertainment climate. Build your own world. Who cares about community? This is your life. Now, I personally go back and forth on my feelings towards the death of monoculture. I don't personally feel drowned out in content. Since I have terrible movie and TV taste, I will watch just about anything as long as there is a decent premise for the plot. As far as music goes, I am totally willing to put in the grind to find my new favorite artist, and I'm actually one of those annoying people who kind of starts to dislike someone when they get more famous. So I actively look for underrated talent, and Spotify and social media makes that a million times easier and more convenient. But at the same time, I do miss that sense of monoculture. I play a lot of golf, and when I meet new people, I've had countless conversations that lead nowhere because we have absolutely nothing in common due to being stuck in totally different algorithmic echo chambers. Sometimes the golfers don't even watch golf, so I'm just like, how's the weather? And obviously I'm a creator, so I'm benefiting from a system that was created for me to succeed. And because of my feelings going back and forth, my channel is somewhat a reflection of the lack of and yearning for an entertainment monoculture. My YouTube channel is kind of like a 2000s MTV inspired hodgepodge of modern pop culture. Firstly, I'm reliable, posting every Monday at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And every week we talk about something pop culture related. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's film, sometimes it's internet personalities, sometimes it's a comedian, action sports star, politics. The modern YouTube algorithm wants you to keep making the same video over and over with the same thumbnails and dominate one specific niche, which is why you see so many successful channels being repetitive, because that is literally what works. I try to keep a balance. And because of that, some videos get more views than others, some videos bomb, but I hope you enjoy me keeping that old early 2000s variety. You can come to my channel to keep you updated with modern pop culture and feel some tiny slice of that monoculture we all used to love.
But he's yapping for me.